Writing code is a craft, and like any craft, the value of the end result comes from the level of care, artistic vision, and love that has been put into it. The same way that a handmade Persian carpet is much more expensive than a machine-made one, the code that comes from a seasoned developer is regarded with much more praise than that of a Vibecoded app. Make no mistake, this is not an anti-AI rant. In fact, it's a pro-AI one. The goal of engineers should not be to avoid AI like the plague, but rather to embrace it and use it carefully, treating it like the sword of a samurai. Miyamoto Musashi said, "The best swordsman is the one that keeps his blade sheathed." Of course, the moment will inevitably arise when you need to use your sword, and when that time comes, you must use it with utmost precision. So how do we achieve the ideal of the 10x dev while still outputting 10x dev worthy code? It's quite simple. DHS said it best. You should treat your favorite AI tool like a junior engineer, a pair programmer, one that can implement something really well if you give it a well-defined spec. Your spec is the glue that keeps your codebase together. Without a good spec, everything falls apart. Writing a good spec is about three main things: having an intimate understanding of your user requirements, being an expert in system architecture, knowing what's good design and bad design, understanding your language like the back of your hand. You'll notice most engineers can't take off all three, and that's okay. That's why software is built in teams. For most apps, knowing what your app should do is easy enough, but really try to think about it. Oftentimes, you miss edge cases in your initial plan that end up having a domino effect of incorrectness across your Vibecoded codebase. A very useful mental paradigm here is to think about the invariants of your program, the rules of your system that must not be broken, or more formally, conditions that are provably true throughout the execution of your code. For example, if you're building a weather app, an invariant might be that the weekly forecast always shows 7 days in the UI. When you start thinking about your system this way, you start to program differently, and thus the specs you give to your agent become less ambiguous. Less ambiguous means the code actually works. Being an expert in system architecture is something that not many engineers can claim. Typically, this is something that takes years to achieve. When I say system architecture, I don't necessarily just mean understanding load balancing, database sharding, and that kind of high-level infrastructure. I mean at a code level, understanding why using a factory pattern over a singleton is a better option, or why caching a certain piece of data may not be a good idea. Once you start to think about your code like an architect designing a building, your code will become much more maintainable, and your AI agent will have a much easier time understanding it. AI is like a parrot. Whatever it sees, it replicates. So if your codebase is already a beautiful castle, AI will make it even more beautiful. But if it's a steaming pile of spaghetti, AI will make it rotten. It's also important to understand system design because your AI agent has a tendency to agree with you unconditionally. They're getting better at not doing this, but if you suggest an idea that is actually terrible to your agent, it's likely that it will agree with you, leaving you unaware of the mistake you have made. This also works in the other direction. AI agents are often very confident in their opinion, which makes human developers trust them without much thought. But if you truly understand the design of your system, you can intercept a bad opinion and steer your agent on the right track. This is also true for human-to-human developer relations. As for the last pillar, a deep understanding of your language, this is the final bit that makes you achieve flow state. It also goes hand in hand with the previous point, where system design is how we look at the end result from a macro level. The language of the program is how we look at the end result from a micro level. Knowing the conventions of your language, how to write idiomatic code in that language, is a valuable skill. It's like knowing how to connect the right synonyms to perfectly capture the scene as a book author. For example, Claude might write some JavaScript that looks like this, but as a seasoned developer, you know that it's much cleaner to do this. Above all, understand this. You will always need to engineer software, write code, design user interfaces or systems. The medium through which you do that may change, but it will still be you doing it. Never stop being curious and never stop learning.